looking at Latin baseball themed words, basically, and found Novato, which is rookie. Technically it means like newbie or inexperienced, and felt like that fit what I was doing a lot because I didn't have any fucking idea what I was doing at the time. Yeah, I mean, I guess I drew a lot in high school as far as, visual art goes. I started playing music in high school and got really addicted to that, and that was it. I didn't go to college because I just kind of freaked out and decided not to go to college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just went into the workforce. Eventually made it into the service industry, which is the luckiest job somebody can have because you want to start a business, like an efficient, low cost, low overhead business. Like my 3 or 4 days a week of bartending and bar managing were able to pay for that. And then just my wife and I were getting married in Mexico, and I happened to look into the idea of like Day of the Dead vans because I used to manage a van store in San Diego and found that people painted on canvas shoes. My mom, who has always sort of lamented the fact that I quit visual art, came up to visit and talk about wedding stuff with my wife and stuff, and they talked me into trying it myself, and so I started painting them and painted like a dozen pairs for the wedding. I mean, the first pair I ever did, I think I was working on the website at the Wild Buffalo with Craig Jewell, one of the owners of the Buffalo, and then Austin Santiago that has now moved to Seattle but used to be like a talent buyer there. Austin's like old buddies with Macklemore, and so Austin got the first pair of shoes I ever painted after the wedding. He bought those and gave them to Macklemore as a birthday gift. And so those ended up getting a wild amount of social media stuff going on. And then for me personally as an artist, immediately I was just immersed in like client work, essentially, which is something that you usually build up to over long periods of time. And so we named it Novato at that point. And then I was also, managing a bar and, working 50 hours a week on top of that and trying to keep up with orders in my off time, which was just painting at my dining room table until 4 o'clock in the morning. So a big part of what went into doing the shop was creating like work hours for me. Building a studio in a store that was like kind of a store slash showroom slash gallery. Worst case scenario, it was gonna be just an expensive studio. And I still bartended, so I'd be able to pay for it if we sold nothing. And luckily, Bellingham was nice enough to make sure that we didn't just sell nothing. They want to know where their stuff comes from. They like the fact that the artist we have up right now, Missy, she works at Gaines Bar in Fairhaven. People recognize her. They like that, and they should. That's awesome. Like, how rad is it that you can own a legitimately cool piece of art from somebody that you might run into? I've really only done one show where I got to I literally called it creative control, and it was like because of the commercial nature of what I've done from the beginning with painting, I've never had the opportunity to do something that was just what I wanted to paint when I wanted to paint it. The political aspect of it is like something that's always that's just something that I talk about and think about all the time. So ESPN had me do a pair of shoes for Monday Night Football last year, and the next day was the election. Talk about something that just like resets what you think about what you're doing artistically, than having just like the fucking worst case scenario for the country happen right then. I kind of made a conscious decision then to try and focus on other things. With that piece, it was right around the time that they were talking about defunding PBS and all that kind of stuff, which is just like the fucking most absurd thing I've ever, that's insane. Like, it doesn't cost that much in the grand scheme of things, and they're talking about taking away multiple generations were essentially educated at home. The idea of kind of organized dissent and protest is something that I think is awesome, and I don't think we do it enough. We've been doing it more the last year, and that's great. My wife and I wanted to have a baby because we truly believe that this can be fixed. We gave them a shit show to deal with, but I do, of course, I think, America absolutely is salvageable. The fact that both my wife and I both had worked in bartending, serving, like restaurants and bars in a town this size meant that we made a lot of friends, and our friends were extremely supportive, and I don't know how it happened. Very regularly, I'm just like, how did we end up here? This is insane. We're crazy lucky.